Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 7 matchup between the NC State Wolfpack and the Syracuse Orange. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 7. You got two teams off to great starts here. NC State is 5-1 on the season. Syracuse is 5-0 on the season. Syracuse is still undefeated heading into middle October, and this is a team that is starting to emerge as a potential surprise team of the season. And they've got a huge game coming up here in Week 7, taking on an NC State team that is one of the top teams in the conference. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. NC State beat Florida State 19-17 in their Week 6 matchup, so a good win there for NC State and a resume-building win, I'd say, as well. Florida State is not a bad team this season. They're definitely an improved team, so for NC State to get the win there, even though it was close and low scoring, they still got the win, and they are 5-1 on the season right now. Syracuse beat Wagner a couple of weeks ago, 59-0. Absolutely dominated them in that match. And once again, Syracuse is still undefeated. They're 5-0 on the season. And once again, this team is one that really didn't have high expectations going into 2022. So for them to be ranked in the top 20, 5-0 right now, that is definitely a surprise so far. And this is definitely their biggest game of the season today, going up against a 15th ranked NC State team that is once again one of the top teams in the ACC. And despite, NC State, they've taken a loss. They're 5-1, but of course that loss came to Clemson, and that was a game where NC State was competitive for a long time. Games be on Saturday, October 15th in Syracuse, New York. So the Orange are the home team for this one, so they do have an advantage there. And your kickoff is 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Syracuse here by 3.5. So Syracuse is favored in this matchup by, well, it's close, but it's a decent margin considering how close of a matchup this is between these two teams skill-wise. Over-under is 42, and the FPI is going Syracuse 58.7%. Series history, NC State leads at 13-2, so not too many matchups between these two teams, but NC State has won the past 3 and 4 out of the past 5. Stat comparison for this one, NC State 77th in points per game, 19th in points allowed. They are 93rd in passage game, 89th in rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 30th in passing, 43rd in rushing. So a strong team defensively here for NC State so far this season, allowing an average of 15 points a game, which is one of the best stats in the country there in points allowed. And as for Syracuse, 28th in points per game, 15th in points allowed. Statistically, Syracuse has been better there in points per game and even points allowed slightly. They're 51st in pass yards a game, 75th in rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 44th in passing, 24th in rushing. So, statistically, Syracuse is a really good team so far this season, and that's, once again, Syracuse is a team that you could consider to be a surprise team so far this season. This team had low expectations going into 2022, that's for sure, and this team has been great so far. And something I do want to mention, Garrett Schrader, he is a good quarterback. You got Devin Leary, who's got more experience, and Devin Leary coming off of a great 2021 season, maybe has disappointed a bit so far here in 2022, but he still shows tremendous potential. Garrett Schrader, though, he's really come around, and he's a quarterback that I see some tremendous upside in. He's got 1,200 yards in the season, 10 touchdowns over 1 pick, and I've watched him a couple of times. Of course, in their game against Virginia, I watched a bit of that, also the Purdue game, and, he's a good quarterback. He is, he's a strong passer, and, obviously you got a strong backfield here with Sean Tucker as well when you got him back there as well. This is a strong Syracuse offense who's averaging 38 points a game this season. So obviously you got two quarterbacks who I'd say are pretty similar skill-wise right now between Garrett Schrader and Devin Leary. Both teams also pretty strong on defense. NC State allowing 15 points a game, Syracuse allowing 14. So yeah, both teams statistically have been pretty good so far this season. And more in depth than Syracuse stats. 51st in pass yards a game, 75th in rush yards. And for yards allowed, 44th in passing, 24th in rushing. So rush defense in particular has been pretty strong for Syracuse this season. Recent matchups, NC State beat Florida State 19-17, lost to Clemson on the road 20-30. Once again, NC State was pretty competitive in that matchup and going up against a really strong Clemson team there. I'd say NC State put up a pretty good fight. Beat UConn 41-10, beat Texas Tech, who is 3-3 on the season right now, but Texas Tech is actually a decent team. They beat them 27-14 and also beat Charleston Southern 55-3 back in Week 2. As for Syracuse, they beat Wagner 59-0, beat Virginia 22-20, beat Purdue 32-29, a good Big Ten opponent there. I mean, Purdue, I'm saying Purdue's got a chance to win the Big Ten West this season. So there's a chance that at the end of the day, Syracuse beat the Big Ten West champion there in Purdue. I mean, Boilermakers are very much in contention to have a big impact on the Big Ten. So that's something that Syracuse can be proud of. Beat UConn on the road 48-14 and also beat Louisville 31-7. So both teams have got some good wins so far this season. No ranked wins, and this is going to be one of these teams that's going to get their first ranked win of the season here. Key points for this one: NC State 5-1, strong start despite the loss to Clemson. They have shown strength on both sides of the ball, and this is an NC State team that had as high of expectations as honestly they've had in a long time going into a season. I mean, NC State was ranked in the top 10, and I mean, Wolfpack are certainly a team that, I mean, I still think they have a chance to get to a really good bowl game and maybe make a run for the ACC, but obviously they need a little help now that Clemson is 4-0 in conference and they're only 1-1. But I mean, NC State, this is a team that, once again, they got talent to be a big contender in the conference this season, and this is a huge game and getting to that point, going up against a ranked Syracuse team. So this is a huge opportunity for both these teams, and especially for NC State, a chance to get a ranked win and be a contender. And for Syracuse, potential surprise team of the 2022 season. We've seen some big surprise teams so far this year. I mean, you got Kansas, you got the Big 12 in general, which is just a wide open conference. It is chaos this season. And of course, I mean, the ACC got Syracuse, who's, still undefeated. I mean, there are only two remaining undefeated teams in the ACC heading into Week 7. Those two teams are Clemson and Syracuse. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a great start for the Orange so far. And Garrett Schrader has been great at quarterback, and statistically they're better. They got the home field advantage, so, I mean, there's reason to believe why Syracuse would win this matchup. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for NC State and Syracuse coming up here in Week 7. And I'm going to go with NC State to pull the upset. 23-20 is my predicted final score. This obviously wouldn't be a massive upset, but according to the spread, it would be. I think NC State goes into Syracuse, and they've got they got a talented team. This is an NC State team that, I mean, there's a reason why the expectations were so high for the Wolfpack going into the season. It's because this team is experienced. They got the talent. And I think, I mean, this is a very physical team too. I mean, they took a loss to Clemson a couple of weeks ago, but if you look at how they played there against Clemson in a nighttime environment, in a tough place to play in Clemson, I mean, they put up a really good fight there. So I think NC State going on the road, they're going to put up a fight, and they're going to get the win against Syracuse 23-20. Probability NC State 55%, over-under is 42. I'm going to take the over slightly for this one. I do think we see more of a lower scoring matchup. The over-under is expecting a really low scoring matchup, especially if you're betting the under there. But I think in the end, this game goes over just a bit. Wouldn't be surprised to see like a 27-20 NC State winner, and I'm predicting a 23-20 win. But yeah, in the end, it's going to be a close one for sure. Probably one of the best games of Week 7, quite honestly. And you got two ranked opponents. It's a ranked matchup, so definitely want to look forward to. I'm going to go with NC State once again, 23-20, for them to cover the spread in the end. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.